Also on the show, I'll be talking to best-selling author Rosamund Pilcher and Peggy, the chalet maid with aspirations to become a yellowcoat. Sue Pollard will be here. But first, not a day goes by without you opening a newspaper and reading about a royal. Charles, Diana, Fergie, the Queen, they're all there, alongside rugby players, politicians and film stars. But this is a crucial time for the monarchy, and as the world waits with bated breath for the next exciting instalment, it's my first guest who breaks the news.
Prince Charles has already signalled his compliance with the Queen's call for a divorce. But he will not have forgotten that his wife, in her Panorama interview, said she didn't want one and warned that she would not go quietly. The Princess and her solicitors are anxious to preserve their negotiating hand, which is why she wanted it publicly known that she is still considering her position. And one option remains simply to refuse a divorce. But if in the end she agrees, then some hard bargaining lies ahead about money, status, and in particular about whether she'll be allowed the role she wants as a goodwill ambassador. Jenny Bond, BBC News, Buckingham Palace.
Jenny Bond, BBC News, Pebble Mill. Nice to see you. The thing that always surprises you, Jenny, is that you suddenly see the full person rather than just from the waist up.
It has legs, it walks.
It has legs, it stands on legs. But looking at that, it's quite surprising, isn't it? Over the past couple of years, court corresponding has taken on a whole new tone from the Queen was wearing a blue coat. It's now really quite meaty, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when I started 4 or 5 years ago, it was pretty frilly, frothy stuff, which didn't appeal to me a great deal. In fact, I made a point of never saying what a member of the royal family is wearing. I don't think it's relevant in any way. You can see for yourself. And it really did become very front line all of a sudden, very serious stuff. And we were talking about marriage breakdowns and the future of the monarchy.
That's right. I mean, it's quite crucial now, this sort of republicanism which seems to be rearing its ugly head.
Yes, there's really a national debate going on now about the whole future of the monarchy, and it's extremely interesting stuff, and everyone talks about it, don't they, wherever I go. Maybe it's just because they know I'm court correspondent.
Oh, I don't think so.
Everybody wants to talk about it and wants to know.
Do they recognise you, the royals, now that you cover them, now that you're always there with them?
They do now. There was a time, quite definitely, when they didn't. I remember attending a garden party about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was introduced to Prince Charles, and he quite clearly had no idea that I ever appeared on television. I don't think he watches a lot of television. But subsequently, yes, he does know me, and I meet them from time to time, and he's made a bit of a point of commenting about my shoes, actually. I remember on a seed potato field in near St. Petersburg, and on a farm, an organic farm somewhere in New Zealand, he made a point of sort of shouting out of the car, "Wearing the wrong shoes again, I see," because I'm always tripping around in usually white stilettos or something.
In the potato field.
Yes.
Very appropriate. Do you obviously get inside information, though, Jen? I mean, how do you find your little scoopettes, your bits of inside info?
Well, I go to the palace quite regularly. I think a lot of people think when they see me standing outside the palace that I've just had tea with the Queen and have tripped out. But I do obviously go and I talk to the press secretaries and the private secretaries.
But that's the official line. What about the nuggets and the
I
inside?
can't tell you that.
But you do get it, though, do you?
Well, yes, obviously one gets some kind of inside information.
But I mean, I'm always curious to know, I'm sure in your case, being the BBC, it's terribly reliable, but you obviously need to trust the source that gives you that. So that presumably takes a bit of experience and time, does it? Finding somebody who you know is telling you the right tale.
Yes, absolutely. One gets to know friends of friends and people who have worked in the household. But I don't operate on the same level as some of the tabloid newspapers, obviously. They have a different agenda. I don't criticise it, it's just different. Mine is more the official line.
Have you ever had a story or got a sort of scoopette, a bit of news about them that nobody else did get?
Well, there was a time in Australia, probably everyone will remember, a couple of years ago, when there was the shooting scare with the Prince of Wales. The gunman shot 3 times in Tumbalong Park, I remember. And we were all there, all the Rat Pack, watching the Prince make his speech. But there was a much more significant speech later in the evening, and we had to go and get a transcript across this park, hundreds of people. And so we all trooped off to get the transcript of the speech. And me, being rather loopy, had left my handbag back with the cameraman who was still shooting where the Prince was. And so I thought, oh my God, I can't go back to the hotel, file for breakfast news, have to go back, get the bag, trot across this park, get there, say what a silly twit I am, pick up my handbag, bang, 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 right in front of my eyes. and all the other reporters had gone. They were still...
They'd remembered the handbags. Didn't get the story.
So that was an occasion when I was very lucky, and I didn't let go of that handbag for a long time, because it was very important to be able to go on radio and television to say, yes, I did see it. This is precisely what happened and what it felt like.
You've got to be able to go at a moment's notice. Your bag's always packed, presumably, is it? I mean,
well, pretty much, yes. More so as a general reporter, actually. Then you really don't know when you're going to go. With the Royal Tour, I generally know.
But you're always well turned out, and you've got to be well turned out for the Royal. So where do you shop?
Oh, here and there. I don't have time for a lot of effort in it, actually. But as you're right in saying that I do have to go at a moment's notice on many occasions, if not abroad, then certainly to the office, and that plays a certain amount of havoc with one's home life.
Now, what have you got in the way of family? Because you're not on your own. What have you got?
A brilliant husband who looks after our lovely little girl who is 6 years old. And so that's his job. And so that's a great comfort to me, because I know that she has this stable force in her life, which is her dad, whereas her mum is sort of whirling around. And to my shame, I have to say that when she was, I think just 2, and the phone would go, and she'd rush over, and instead of saying hello, she'd say, "Hello, has Mummy got to go to work?" So I felt a bit guilty about that.
Do you enjoy it? I remember talking to Kate Adie when she was court correspondent, and Kate, it wasn't her bag at all. She didn't enjoy being royal correspondent. You clearly seem to enjoy it.
Well, I think you were talking there about the times when it was so frilly and frothy. I think Kate would find more meat in it now. It is an interesting topic, I think, to discuss. I found it a very difficult brief, quite honestly, because every other field of journalism, I've been a journalist for more years than I care to remember, you get to meet the principal people about whom you're reporting. You get to talk to them, whereas I almost always have to work through a third party. So it's a very sort of shady world of trying to get to the truth.
You also, to a degree, I remember with the likes of John Cole, can put a bit of personal spin on it. You can put a bit of opinion on it when you're commenting politically. It seems to me that you have a great deal of difficulty in that. You're always taking the party line, I guess, rather than your own opinion, aren't you?
Well, I don't think it's the party line. I mean, I think that's really part of being a journalist, that I am paid to be objective. Of course I have opinions and views on the royal family, but it's not my job to put those views across.
But will Charles marry Camilla?
Now he's asking. I would say that's very unlikely. Certainly the official line on that is it's extremely unlikely.
Will he marry again?
They say he has no plan to do so.
Will she marry again? Diana?
That I wouldn't mind putting money on, yes.
Do you sympathise with her?
I have some sympathy with her, yes, and with both of them. I think what we've been witnessing is very sad breakdown of a marriage, and it's all the sadder to see it conducted in public. It's an unpleasant story to have to cover in many ways.
I remember talking to Martin Bell, and Martin said he would carry on doing his war correspondent bit because he wanted to see Bosnia tidied up and sorted out, and he felt he wanted to see that through, however long it took. Is there a degree with you now of thinking, I want to see this story kind of reach its conclusion, the royal saga?
I think so, yes. I don't think it's going to take long to see the end of the Wales's marriage through. But yes, I think they're in quite a pretty pickle at the moment, the monarchy, in many ways, and I'd like to see how it's going to resolve itself and be part of that. And of course, after the number of years that I've done it, I feel that I do have a certain amount of information and authority and contact. So, yeah, please, I'd like to continue doing it.
Somebody once said that there will, in about 20 years' time, be only 5 royal families left: Hearts, Clubs, Diamonds, Spades and Windsor. Do you think Windsor will still be there with Hearts, Clubs, Diamonds and Spades?
I think it will. I think it will for our lifetime,
well,
anyway.
I hope you're still there doing it. It's a great pleasure to talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you
Jenny
very much.
Bond. Now it's time for a look at this week's film releases at the cinema, on video and on television with our very own film buff, Emma Norman.